cut. This year, the administration and the teachers cut everything they could. And what is left for our students? Their options in languages, advanced classes, and elective subjects are limited. We simply do not have the means to support a well-rounded curriculum anymore. And this is not the teachers, the students, or the administration's fault. It is simply the reality of the current budget circumstances. These budget circumstances are not going to change. There is no massive tax base on the horizon. That's going to save us. We must act now for the sake of our students and our community. Thank you.
Excellent. So next up would be Christina. Christina, whenever you're ready, when you start speaking, the camera will go to you for everybody.
Okay. So it seems to me like this is a very crucial, critical time with some of the possible and proposed changes that are being discussed with regards to the district. I was concerned and wanted to be involved in the decision-making process. I wanted to make sure that the concerns and thoughts of the community members that I interact with are clearly and well represented on the board. The skills and experience and knowledge that I feel make me a good candidate come from working in the Schenectady City School District for the past 17 years. I also have various experiences coaching volleyball at all levels at a few different buildings and schools as well, coaching softball at various or different levels. I understand what it takes to work together and to try to reach a common goal. I understand and have knowledge of state mandates and requirements for things like intervention services, special education services, sports mergers, and other operational procedures. I've also been an active member of my own teachers union, being a building rep for my own building and staff, so I understand the functions and workings of unions as well. I'm also extremely vested in the school, being a parent of 3 children who are currently enrolled and who I want to see finish their educations at Fort Edward. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I just got to let a couple people in here real quick that are clicking on. All right. One more. Up next, Mike Glass. When you're ready, Mike.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, my name is Michael Glass. I'm running for re-election for the seat I currently occupy, and I've served on that board for 5 years. I'm a proud father of 3 children ranging in the ages of 13 to 16. All of our children started school at Fort Edward and now are in the 11th, 9th, and 8th grades. My wife, Joy, and I are very grateful to the caring teachers and staff that have educated and influenced our children throughout their years in school. My involvement and investment in this community service runs deep. I live, work, and raise my children in our hometown of Fort Edward. I proudly serve as a member of the BOCES Board of Directors. I believe the school is the center of our community, and I have and will continue to work for the betterment of our school, both inside and outside the board. Out of the boardroom, I have coached our children for over 8 years, helped start back up a drama program, and even played a very tall elf every Christmas for the elementary students. I've developed a great appreciation for the families of our small village and the positive impact of our community service and involvement. Fort Edward has gone through some significant challenges over the last few years, and I've served on the board and faces many still. I feel very confident that my fellow members and I are up to the challenge. I was born and educated in Southern New York, and although I have lived in Fort Edward for 16 years, I'm not native to this area. I believe that affords me with a diverse experience and perspective for contributing to the success of this district. It also allows me to make those tough, impartial, objective decisions that are needed in these difficult times. I'm confident that my work and passion for the best interests of the youth and families of Fort Edward will continue to serve me well as Fort Edward Board. I believe I possess the experience and dedication required for this responsibility. Thank you for your time and consideration.
I'm going to unmute for a second. Folks, just please, I don't know, some people may be a little less familiar with Google Meets. I see some folks as they're coming in, they're pushing the present button and sharing their screen. We're going to ask you, obviously, not to do that as it's distracting. Mike, just to let you know, all of your comments did come through, but I just wanted to put that out there. A few people bumped on and hit the present button.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on there. I saw it come on.
Excellent. If you'll mute Mike, Dan, when you're ready, and again, the camera will go to you when you start speaking.
Okay, thank you, Dan. My name is Dan Shiels, and I've lived in Fort Edward for 7 years. I have a wonderful wife, Jessica, that works at the school, and 2 children, Candy, age 7, and Connor, age 5. Jessica and I made a conscious decision to buy our home in Fort Edward and build our family here. The school district and the community were 2 of our biggest reasons for choosing to settle here, and we have never regretted this decision. We love this community and the school district. I can tell you that running for the Board of Education was not on my bucket list. However, given the circumstances of our school, I am feeling compelled to do so. My purpose in running for the board is quite simple. I want to be part of the solution. I want Fort Edward School District to stay Fort Edward School District. I am eager to learn all that I can about how to be an effective Board of Education member, and I also want to work collaboratively with others to maintain our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Next up, we're moving on to the questions. Since Elaine went first in the opening statements, she's now going to be going last. We'll go to the next person alphabetically. So Christina, you'll be going first on question number 1. And for everybody out there, there's now 87 people on the line. Make it 86 because again, I'm running 2 computers. Question 1 is, what will be your focus and priorities to strengthen the district goals for the first year of your term? And for the questions, again, we're giving folks 2 minutes to respond. So when you're ready, Christina, I'm ready to start the time.
Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet. So during my term, my goals are to open up the dialogue between the students, staff, and community to ensure that all voices are heard and represented. I plan on being an advocate for the student, staff, and community by examining policies, procedures, and systems that impact the success of our district, being a strong advocate for the youth here.
Thank you. Going next, Mike Glass, same question. What will be the focus and priorities? What will be your focus and priorities to strengthen the district goals for the first year of your term? Whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Tim. Well, while on the board, I worked with the board and the superintendents and members of the faculty to create the current mission goals with the intent of improving all those areas. Throughout the school, we have posted for everyone to see. We rolled that out to the faculty, the admin, and the students, and we are very proud that they have bought into those goals and continue to use them as a guide to success. The board, if you come to our meetings, you'll notice a lot of times we'll point, when we're talking, we'll point right over to the goals that we have posted in our boardroom. And we also reflect on those goals when we were faced with challenging decisions, as lately we have been. Those goals are meant for progress from where we were to where we want to be. We revisit these goals every 3 to 5 years to measure the progress we have made. And if they're not up to what we think, we'll add new ones in. But how was that, Dan? That was pretty close. You're muted, Dan.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thanks, Mike. Up next is Dan. Dan, same question. What will be your focus and priorities to strengthen the district goals during the first year of your term? And whenever you're ready, Dan, again, as you start speaking, the camera will go to you.
All right, thank you. So when I reviewed the 2019-2020 district goals on the school webpage, I could not agree more with the mission statement: to provide a safe environment where all students are nurtured to actively acquire the skills and knowledge necessary to reach their full potential. My focus and priority will be solution-oriented on the following. How do we maintain Fort Edward School District while continuing to strive for these goals? I do not have all the answers. and I have a lot to learn. I am ready and willing to learn, ready and willing to listen, and I'm ready and willing to work with others to move us forward from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Elaine, moving on to you. Same question. What will be your focus and priorities to strengthen the district goals during the first year of your term? And whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, I'd like to start by saying I don't know what I don't know, but I have the time and the desire to learn more about the school, what's going on. I have experience with both preparing budgets and with administrating them. I was a supervisor at the hospital for 20 some odd years, and I think I can bring that experience with me to Fort Edward High School. Thank you. Or actually, Fort Edward School District. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Elaine. So moving on to question 2, that means we move down alphabetically, and this time we will be starting with Mike Glass. And question number 2, what is your vision for education in this community? Whenever you're ready.
The best possible education for all students in this community. Dan, not every student's path is the same, and it's our job to make sure whatever path they choose, they're given the options, the tools, and the resources for a complete educational experience. Some students may choose college, some may choose the workforce, and that's why it's our job to make sure that they are educated and have those opportunities. Whether you're going through BOCES and going where they choose that route, and they can come out and be successful in whatever path they choose. And that's it. We have a good faculty, good administration, a good board to administer those.
Okay, thank you, Mike. That means up next is Dan. Dan, same question. What is your vision for education in this community?
All right, thanks, Dan. I'm going to reference the district's goals as listed on the webpage again. The way to achieve the mission statement is through the following: increase student achievement, increase opportunities for students, establish and maintain a nurturing learning environment, engage stakeholder groups in educational and extracurricular programs. This vision is clear, thorough, and comprehensive. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. Continuing to use these goals to drive our ship is a quality vision. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Up next, Elaine, same question. What is your vision for education in this community?
Well, I think we need to make education a priority for our students. But that being said, we also need to balance this with making sure that those who are retired or on limited incomes in our community can continue to stay here. We have people who can't afford the taxes, and someone who is in their 80s or higher who can't afford to live in their homes. So we need to look at both sides. We need to make sure we're doing what's right for the students, but we also need to do what's right for these people who want to stay in their homes. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Elaine. Christina, same question. What is your vision for education in this community?
So my vision follows and is aligned with the mission of the district as well, being committed to providing a safe environment where every student is nurtured and actively acquire their skills and knowledge to reach their own individual potential by engaging stakeholder input, offering a range of educational programs and extracurricular programs, giving the students multiple modes and means to learn and grow, express themselves, achieve their goals, and experience success in a variety of ways, whether it be in the classroom, on a team, on the stage, or wherever they can. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you, Christina. And if I am correct, that brings us to question 3, and we would be starting with Dan this time as we move down alphabetically. So question 3, Dan, what do you see as the primary work of the Board of Education? And you can start whenever you're ready.
Again, I'm going to reference the district webpage. This states, as elected representatives of the community, the Board of Education establishes the district budget, curriculum, the school calendar, and other legal matters relating to the function of the school district. I think it is our role to continue to educate ourselves, listen to the community members, ask the difficult questions, and ensure that our district is operating with as much educational and financial integrity as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Up next would be Elaine. Elaine, it's question 3. What do you see as the primary work of the Board of Education?
To provide a quality education for our students, and to me that means making popular and unpopular decisions. We need to balance the needs of the students and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving next, Christina, same question, question 3. What do you see as the primary work of the Board of Education?
So I would agree with Mr. Shiels. I looked at the website and it said the board member is a representative of the community, establishing the district's budget, curriculum, calendar, and overseeing the function of the school district. I also think a board member should be responsive and receptive to all the stakeholders, including the students, parents, and staff, as well as the community members. I feel the board should push for policies and procedures that promote the success of all students, and that the board should be as transparent as possible about the decision making the decisions that they are making as they are acting as a liaison between the school and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And last on question 3, Mike, what do you see as the primary work of the Board of Education?
Well, they have to have the large picture for the district and make those decisions that will affect the entirety of the district. A productive board sends guidance and policy to the paid professionals of the district and allows them to take care of the day-to-day operations of the school. I've gone to countless professional developments and tried to stay ahead of any curves or trends that can negatively impact our district. It has also made me a better board member in understanding the importance of the collaborative thinking and learning from the experience of other districts. I see a lot of changes that our educators face now, and days that my professional development has better equipped me to understand. Before I was unaware of what you face day to day, and it really is. I give a lot of credit to everybody out there, really, especially now with the distance learning and everything. They've adapted well, so it's constantly changing.
Thanks, Mike. Moving on to question 4. So that brings us back to Elaine. So Elaine, you're first on question 4. And question 4 for the viewers out there. The district is faced with significant financial stress that has caused continual budgetary reductions and has moved the board to research a merger study with South Glens Falls. What are your thoughts about our financial situation, and how would you address it? And what are your thoughts about the possibility of annexation to South Glens Falls?
So, for the financial part, we are a district that gets 70% of our financial aid from the state. That makes us vulnerable to the whims of the state. Our board has done a valiant effort, but we still face tough times ahead. I think I can be an asset, bringing a different point of view to the board and helping to make these difficult decisions. Now, as far as the merger study goes, we need the facts. We can't be afraid of the facts. We may find that the merger is not a good thing. That's very possible. But then again, we may find that the merger will be the best for our students. We can offer them more things, more classes. So I think for us to totally just think this is Fort Edward, we need to keep it Fort Edward, I think is burying our heads in the sand. Eventually, I think the state is going to come in and say, you're too small. We're going to force you to merge, and we're going to force you to merge with whoever we say. I think we're better off getting the facts on this and then making an informed decision, whichever way it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Moving up to Christina. Christina, question 4. The district is faced with significant financial stress that has caused continual budgetary reductions and has moved the board to research a merger study with South Glens Falls. What are your thoughts about our financial situation and how you would address it? And what are your thoughts on the possibility of annexation to South Glens Falls?
So while I agree that we need to learn from the past, we need to focus on the present and move forward. I feel that there are some issues with how maybe the finances have been handled previously, for sure, but hindsight is always 20/20. Hopefully there have been insights gained from where we are now, and we can use that information going forward. I think it's important that moving forward, we look to the potential positive financial changes on the horizon, with urban tissue coming off roles and the plastic plant coming in. I would address the future finances in a collaborative manner, possibly looking to reach out to local government representatives again. As far as the annexation is concerned, given the current information that I have, I would not support a merger. The thought of an annexation, I feel, is a mistake that once set into motion would have a huge negative repercussion for our community and could not be able to be undone. I can say with confidence that the vast majority of the community members that I have spoken to about this, be them students, parents, grandparents, etc., are of the same mindset. The best option for this district is, and its students and this community, is to keep the school in our own hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Moving down, next is Mike. Mike, question 4. The district is faced with significant financial stress that has caused continual budgetary reductions and has moved the board to research a merger study with South Glens Falls. What are your thoughts about our financial situation and how you would address it? And what are your thoughts about the possibility of annexation to South Glens Falls?
Well, obviously this is a tough one. You know, this hits home. But I'm very optimistic that some things will come online and that will help our financial situation. The Irving pilot will help the tax burden. WHO, plastic will bring jobs and some revenue. It's the board's responsibility to prepare for all outcomes. And we've had to make some tough decisions. Even this year, we're faced with reductions. But every year, it's only going to get harder and harder. When talking about South Glens Falls, Dan, what are you doing?
Sorry, Mike, technical difficulty on my end. I apologize.
Are you good now?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry.
It's all right. We've had to make some tough decisions. Even this year, we were faced with reductions, but every year it would get harder and harder. When we talked with South Glens Falls and the other one up the hill, what led us to the one way is because this school is important. I moved here for this school 16 years ago. I wanted it to still stand. By going that way, we was in talks that they would keep this as an elementary school if that happened. And that's important. And that was a really, at least for me, it was a deciding factor to have some type of school here. I don't want to annex. I moved to this place for the school, but it's our job as a board to be prepared for all outcomes, and it'll be on the taxpayers to vote. Thank you.
It's time. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. And I did go to 1:39 that time because of the little technical difficulty I
I
had.
stopped talking. Yeah, I stopped talking.
I know you did. I just want to acknowledge it to be fair to everyone. Question 4, next up is Dan. Dan, same question. The district is faced with significant financial stress. It has caused continual budgetary reductions and has moved the board to research a merger study with Southlands Falls. What are your thoughts about our financial situation and how you would address it? And what are your thoughts about the possibility of annexation to Southlands Falls?
All right. This is several questions rolled into one that has more layers to it that can be addressed in a 2-minute meet the candidates response, but I will do my best. I am fully aware of the Board of Education vote that occurred in March to move forward with the full merger study with Southlands Falls. I'm not in favor of this decision, and I am not happy about the outcome of that vote. I think that our financial situation is unfortunate at this time. It has been the perfect storm that has propelled us into these difficult financial times. Can everybody still hear me?
Yeah, you're still good. Sorry.
Okay. However, agreeing to spend a large amount of money on a full merger study when we are in such a financial crisis does not seem responsible. How would I address it? That's not a me question, that's a we question. We need to address it collaboratively and as diligently as possible. We need to keep lines of communication open. We need to keep our goals and vision clear. We need to work together to the best we can with what we had to move forward from here. Thoughts about the possibility of annexation of Southlands Falls? Simple. I do not want it. This is nothing against Southlands Falls School District. I just value small public schools, and we made the choice to buy a home and build our family in this community and this school district. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And if I'm keeping track of this, everyone answered question 4. And that brings us and makes it so Christina would go first on question number 5. Question 5, when faced with financial decisions and having to make reductions, the board must make priorities and work to reduce the impact on Fort Edward students and the community. How does a school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to support the local taxpayer burden?
So when making decisions about reductions, there's honestly no way to please everyone. So I guess the best answer is how I would approach it. I would be looking at each issue or situation in an individual basis. That being said, I feel it's necessary to look at what directly impacts the students on a day-to-day basis and move away from those things to more ancillary items that have the least impact on students and their day-to-day functioning. For example, things like continuing to share some of the non-instructional staff and services with neighboring districts impact students far less than cutting teachers that are giving direct instruction or aides that students depend on or interact with all day, every day. A quality education comes when students are in class and engaged and receiving the appropriate supports to allow and encourage them to be successful. So that's what I would prioritize. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. That makes Mike next on question 5. Mike, question 5, when faced with financial decisions and having to make reductions, the board must make priorities and work to reduce the impact on Fort Edward students and the community. How does a school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden?
That is the $1 million question, Dan, or the $1.8 million question. We have done, last few years, I can recall being in that boardroom till 11 o'clock at night, going line by line by line. We made $650,000 in cuts a few years ago with zero impact to the students or teachers. And then from there, you just couldn't, got all the fluff out and it was bare. There was nothing. And now we are where we are. We wanted to, at least I can only speak for myself, I wanted to always make any, if there was any cuts, or zero impact furthest away from the children as possible. I don't want teachers to lose jobs. I don't want aides to lose their jobs, but we are at a point where once you're on that board, you're able to look at things and you're able to see things in a forecast. And it is our job to the taxpayers where we have to make those tough decisions. They're not always the popular decision. And I don't want to make those decisions, and nobody on that board does. But, you know, you have to do what we got to do. It's about the children. At the end of the day, whatever decision I will make is always based upon the children and their best experience. That's it.
Thanks, Mike. Moving down, Dan, you are next for question 5. And again, question 5, when faced with financial decisions and having to make reductions, the board must make priorities and work to reduce the impact on Fort Edward students and the community. How does the school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden?
All right, thanks, Ian. I have to assume, as I have never been a Board of Education member, that it is difficult to find this balance. I think that it is impossible to please everybody, but necessary to hear everybody. Although people do not always agree about what equates to a quality education and or what is reasonable for taxes, we as a board can agree to listen. We need to listen to our community members, our students, and our district employees. We need to work together to do the best that we can to listen, educate, devise realistic solutions, and move forward. I also anticipate that things will begin to improve after this budget year, with Irving coming off the pilot and the plastic plants coming into town. This will improve the tax levy. I'm well aware that these are not the fix or the solution, but they sure aren't going to make the problem worse. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Moving down to Elaine. Elaine, question 5. When faced with financial decisions and having to make reductions, the board must make priorities and work to reduce the impact on Fort Edward students and the community. How does the school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden?
Well, you know, this was a hard one that I really struggled with, because we've got to be able to give our students the best education possible. And yet we're going to have to make tough decisions going forward. I think looking at Irving Tissue and the plastics plant as being our saviors is a little short-sighted. It's a lot like when we all took the money from the dewatering plant, and then what happened? When they packed up and went away, and when GE packed up and went away, it put us in this position. So I don't think we should be looking at those being our saviors. I think we need to look at what is the best for our students. Obviously, we have to stay with state mandates. I understand that. It's too bad the state wouldn't pay for their mandates. But I think we need to look at a well-rounded education. It's not just reading, writing, arithmetic. It's languages, it's the arts, it's music. We need well-rounded students. So, like I said, I struggled with this one because I'm not sure there's an easy answer one way or the other. We just need to do the best we can do. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. That moves us on to question number 6. And for question number 6, that means that Mike, you get to go first for question number 6. And question 6, what are your thoughts and concerns about the current school closing and the possible challenges that our school face when it reopens? And for the folks that are listening out there, this question has to do with the closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Don't be mistaken that our school is closed. After that question was written, I made sure that I clarified that. So again, what are your thoughts and concerns about the current school closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the possible challenges that our school face when it reopens once we're allowed to do so?
Well, this one, this one hits home for a lot of reasons. And number one, being on the BOCES board has allowed me to figure out what the future of education might be, what it might look like next year. It might not be the same as it was this year or last year. But what's important is the safety of our children and our teachers and everybody. So with that in mind, I lost my brother to this. This is serious. Just because we're up here doesn't mean it's not going to come here. So it's important that we make sure that what next year comes, that we're prepared. At the end of the day, I just want them to be safe. I want the kids to get back to school. I want them to learn, because there's no, they need to be in class. You can't put a price on what those teachers give to those students in that classroom. They're doing a great job away, but it's not the same. But with that being said, we got to be safe. But like I said, my dad has it, and I lost my brother to this. It's serious. So we really need to think hard about how we're going to approach this next year. And it's going to be like that for everybody. It's going to face the same thing.
Thanks, Mike. Next up on question 6 is Dan. Dan, question 6, what are your thoughts and concerns about the current school closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the possible challenges that our school will face when it reopens?
First of all, I'd just like to start out by saying I'm sorry to hear that, Mike. As far as question 6, I have confidence that our district will be able to figure out the challenges. At least with this issue, we are not alone in this boat. All school districts will need to figure out the best they can. When the unexpected closure happened, whatever school district administrators, teachers, and staff stepped up and figured it out. They worked hard and they figured it out. There has been meal delivery, remote instruction, and credible communication throughout. What will school look like when it reopens? None of us know. But I'm not concerned about how our people will respond. They will keep stepping up to the plate for our students and families. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Next up on question 6 is Elaine. Elaine, what are your thoughts and concerns about the current school closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the possible challenges that our school will face when it reopens?
Also, I would like to send my condolences to Mike. I can't even imagine going through this. I think the state will tell us when we can open, if we can open, and how we can open. And I think the best that we can do as a board is to adapt. And when we get that information from the state, then we have to figure out how to make it the easiest possible for our students, for our teachers, and our parents. It's going to be a hard thing, but I have no doubt that we will come together and do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Moving to Christina. Christina, question 6. What are your thoughts and concerns about the current school closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the possible challenges that our school will face when it reopens?
So first off, Mike, what a horrible loss for you and your family. I'm so sorry, and best wishes to your dad. For the question, my main concern is the overall social and emotional toll this is going to have and has on our students and their families here. The absence of the on-campus school community, especially with a smaller, close-knit community like Fort Edward, has been extremely impactful to our students and families, and we are most certainly not living the same lives we were 3 months ago. Other issues or concerns are the inequities when it comes to access to technology, home support, workspace, all these other things that are directly affecting the student engagement and learning happening or not happening right now. The challenges we face here in Fort Edward, I would imagine, would be similar to many around the state. Keeping our students and staff safe while trying to follow the state guidelines will for sure be a challenge. I think one way to combat some of the challenge of that and the problems that can arise is to be very open with the plans and disseminate information so that folks know what to expect and so that they can ask questions about things that are concerns for them personally.
Thank you, Christina. Let's see. So I believe that brings us to the closing comments section. So each candidate is going to have 1 minute to provide closing remarks or a statement. And that, since Mike started question 6, I go down alphabetically. That means, Dan, you'll get to go first for the closing statements. And I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Dan. So if you know me, you know why I'm running. I am running for this position because I care. I care about my children, your children, our children. I care about this district. Quite simply, I'm stepping up to the plate because I care. I do not claim to have all the answers, but I have passion and compassion. I have a willingness to learn and a drive to succeed. I believe in the history and the power of this district and community. We are Fort Edward, and I appreciate your support throughout this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Moving on to Elaine. Elaine, 1 minute for your closing remarks or statement whenever you are ready.
Okay. As I said in my opening, my focus is on the students. I have heard reasons like teachers will lose their jobs, or some kids will not be able to play on sports teams if we merge. No good teacher is going to lose their job. Saying that a good teacher will be out of a job is an insult to all teachers. It may not be in Fort Edward, but it will be somewhere else. We have great teachers, and great teachers are always going to be employed. Saying that our kids can't compete at bigger schools is an insult to our kids. I have seen our teams go to bigger schools and not only compete, but win. Telling our kids that they aren't good enough to compete is no way to encourage our kids to be their best. Tough times call for tough decisions, and I am prepared to take an independent look at all of our options and make the best call for our kids and community. I said earlier, I have the time, the desire, and the ability to work on these problems. So if you want someone who will work for you and our children, please vote for me. Thank you. Did I go over?
You went a little bit over, but I think everybody will be okay. Sorry, I lost you. Moving on to Christina. Christina, when you are ready, please go ahead.
I'm going to keep it quick. I just want to say that if elected, I would approach the opportunity to serve on the board with integrity and an open mind. I would also want everyone to know that my efforts as a board member would be to focus on promoting the educational success of all students in Fort Edward. And thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Christina. Moving on to, so Mike, that means you are last with the final comments. Mike, one minute to make your closing remarks or a statement. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everybody for their condolences. I do appreciate that. My family does as well. I want to thank my fellow candidates for running. Last year, we had 3 seats open and no one ran. And those members that we have chose to come to appreciate were voted in through write-ins. That I am reelected to have the opportunity to serve along with one of you and our board to continue to work for the better outcome of our students in this community. I am proud of the work that I have done, and I look forward to continuing to serve this community. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mike. So that concludes the candidate portion, and I just I do have some final remarks and really some information for everybody. But I want to thank for the Board of Education. I want to thank all the candidates for coming on and doing this. It's the first time I've been through one of these. It's great to hear everybody speak about some of the issues that we're facing. So I wish you all the best of luck in the election by mail-in ballot. And I just have a few pieces of information to share out. So please don't forget, and I think there's some more people on here that might not have been on last night for the budget hearing, that our Board of Education election and budget vote is by mail-in vote through absentee ballot, and those have to be done the correct way. They were put in the mail yesterday morning from the vendor down in Albany. They should be in your mailboxes tomorrow, is what we have been told. So they are coming. Please understand that we are doing the very best we can to get them to you. If you are concerned about your ballot and getting to school on time because of the time it takes to mail, I did speak with Pat down at the post office, and she said you could bring it to her and pass it over the counter to her or Clint, and they'll make sure it does not clear through Albany. In addition, on the 9th, we will have a drop box. Sorry, somebody's trying to jump in for the end. We will have a drop box in the front foyer for people who don't have enough time to interact with that ballot and get it back out in the mail. We would ask that you try to use the mail in the post office because our ballot box will not fit 1,600 ballots, which is about 8 times the normal number of people who vote. That's what we sent out. So we did take the time to do that. And at 4:45 on Tuesday the 9th, I will be traveling down to the post office to get whatever ballots they have received in the post office. So that's when they close. I'll be there right at closing. I'll bring them back up for the election inspectors, and the district clerk told me was set to count. And again, those ballots must be received by the clerk at 5 p.m. That is not postmarked. It must be received by. Also want to remind folks that the June board meeting was rescheduled to June 10th at 6 p.m. It was originally June 8th. We would be swearing in. We'd be hoping to swear in the person who wins the shorter seat, so the second highest vote getter, because that seat starts immediately upon election. So once we can verify the results of that election, we're looking to swear that person in. So they would be sworn in. And I see Mike might have a question about that because he could be holding 2 seats. That's not the case, Mike. You can only hold 1 seat, so it immediately creates a vacancy. You move from 1 seat to the next. And lastly, I wanted to put out there, if you've been down through the village since Saturday, I hope that you've had a chance as you're going down the hill to look on the right-hand side of the road and see all those banners that are up on the poles. Those banners are a salute to the class of 2020 of Fort Edward High School. They were purchased by the PTO. I reached out to the PTO and said, hey, we want to do this special thing for our kids. And a lot of schools were doing special things, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I wanted it to be kind of a surprise. And the PTO immediately said, yes, we'll absolutely do this. We'll cover the cost of these banners. And I said, well, can you not put it out as a fundraiser before we get them and wait till they go up, and then I'll help you publicize it as a fundraiser. But the PTO put out a considerable amount of funds to get those banners up so that the Fort Edward seniors would not be forgotten due to the school closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm asking anybody out there, if you know somebody on the PTO, if you can reach out, and they're going to put something out probably on their Facebook page that they're looking for donations to help offset the cost of those banners. I really hope you'll take the time to consider that strongly. And I also want to put a large shout out to Ryan Herman, who did the mock-ups for all those banners, our technology teacher. He created the files with the photos, and he did a great job. And also to Joanna Scotch and Sam Ratty for double checking them all with me. And last but certainly not least, to the folks from the Fort Edward Fire Department, Greg Toll and everybody else that he got on board. They hung those things in I think it was about 4 hours on Saturday, because they said they were going to start around 7 or 8. And when I drove through the village to see how they were doing, around 11 or 12, they were all up and they were done. So I just want to put that plug out there for those banners. Just what a nice thing. I got a phone call today from the district superintendent of BOCES. And And he called and said, "Hey, when did those get up? I hope I wasn't missing them." I said, "No, they just went up." And he commented, a person from outside our community obviously commented on how fantastic of a salute that was to our seniors. So hashtag we are Fort Edward, and I want to thank the PTO and the fire department and everybody involved in that. And again, I thank everybody for being here tonight. There's 87 people on the line. Please make sure you get those ballots. Please make sure you fill them out and get them back in the mail. And everybody have a fantastic evening. Thanks to all the potential candidates for being on tonight. Have a great night, everyone.
Good job.